Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Eid Mubarak to everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed their vacation, inshallah ta'ala. And I hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put blessings and barakah in you and your family and in your studies, inshallah ta'ala. Today, inshallah, we'll be beginning from page 69 of your Min Kunuz al-Sarf from the Treasures of Arabic Morphology. Today, we're going to begin a very important aspect of Ilm al-Sarf, which is called Al-Asma'ul Mushtaqqa. Al-Asma'ul Mushtaqqa, the derived nouns. Up until this point, we have been studying the conjugation of verbs. Up until this point, we have been primarily, exclusively studying the conjugation of verbs. Now it's time for us to take Ilm al-Sarf to another level in which we will be discussing the conjugation of and the formation of isms or nouns based on three root letter words. We're going to learn how to make the 6 types of derived nouns. Now the 6 types are, as you can see here, ismul fa'il, number 1, ismul maf'uli, number 2, ismul tafdili, sifatul mushabbaha, ismul ala, ismul dharf. These are the 6 types of derived nouns. Now the reason they're called asma'ul mushtaqqa is because they are mushtaq or taken or derived from the 3-letter roots. They are derived from the 3-letter roots. In the beginning of Sarf a few weeks ago, as we began, we learned that there are different types of words or nouns. One of those types of nouns are called mushtaq, those nouns that are derived from the 3-letter roots. So the beautiful thing is that once you learn a certain word, like a 3-letter word, you will be able to formulate any one of these 6 types of derived nouns very easily. So you'll understand that your vocabulary will multiply times 6 by just knowing. Your Arabic vocabulary will multiply times 6 by simply knowing these asma'ul mushtaqqa. By knowing these, your vocabulary will multiply by 6 by just knowing the pattern for making these. Now each one of these has a specific pattern to it. And this pattern, listen closely, this pattern is exclusive to the 3-letter root words. If you recall, we learned that there are words called thalathi mujarrad and thalathi mazid fi. Let's take a look at those. And rubai. Way back in the beginning of our class, long time ago, we learned back here somewhere. Yes, here. So here we learned there are thalathi words regarding the root letters, thulathi, meaning there's only 3, and rubai. And we also learned here that there are thulathi mujarrad, thulathi mazid fi, rubai mujarrad, rubai mazid fi. This is all review. We studied this before. And my point here is to show you that what we're learning now, the specific pattern, is exclusive to only thulathi mujarrad. So everything we're going to learn regarding the pattern and how to derive the verbs and formulate those are all exclusive to what? Thulathi mujarrad. Okay? If you have any questions regarding that, write that down and ask me in class on Tuesday, inshallah. Let's go back to where we were, inshallah. Okay, so here we are. We see the six types. We're going to learn them one by one, slowly. We're not going to do them all at one time. It may be a lot. Now, there's one more thing you have to understand. The second thing I want you to understand is that these isms also, these isms are discussed in ilm al-sarf, which we're studying now, because they also conjugate, they also change, they also can be conjugated based on the number of people doing it and based on the halat that it's in. And I'm going to explain all that in detail, inshallah. So this is the point you have to understand, that once you learn how to make these verbs, you'll also learn that they conjugate according to their, number one, gender, number two, number of people doing them, number three, its state or position in the sentence. Okay? What I mean by that is, we learned before that when there's a fi or a harf jar on a word, it puts the word after it in the state of jar with a kasra showing on it. Well, what we're speaking about now is that these isms also, number one, they'll change according to the number of people doing it. Number two, they'll change according to the gender of the one doing the action, or the gender of the ism, and also they'll change according to their state in the sentence. Okay, so let's go into it now. The very first one that we're going to learn is called ismul fa'il. Ismul fa'il. That's the very first one that you're going to learn. Ismul fa'il. Now, ismul fa'il is the active participle. It indicates the person or being from which the action emanates. So the one doing the action is called the ism al-fa'il, the ism for the doer. Example, sami', sami'un, a person who listens. Sami'un, a person who listens. Now, in three root letter words, thulathi mujarrad, remember we spoke about this just a few minutes ago. The ismul fa'il is made by adding an alif after the first letter. So the very first step you have to make is you have to add a alif. You can see here an alif after the first letter. Right here, an alif after the first letter. Then rendering a kasra after the first letter, and then rendering a kasra to the second. So you here see sami' right here, put a kasra on the second letter. And a tanween or dammatain, fathatain to the end of it. Thus, fa'ala becomes fa'ilun. Does everyone see what just happened? Fa'ala, to do, or he did, becomes fa'ilun, the doer, the doer. In the dual form, now let's look at this. In the tathniya or muthanna, in the muthanna or tathniya, you add an alif and a noon to the end. So what do you say? Fa'ilani. You say what? Fa'ilani. Fa'ilani. You put a ani, alif, ani, and a noon at the end of the word. Fa'ilani. For the feminine form, now that's masculine. Now watch what we do for the feminine. A round ta is inserted at the end. So for all of these words, both the ones we just said, we're going to say fa'ilatun, fa'ilatun, or we're going to say fa'ilatun, that's it. Fa'ilani will be the same for will be the same for feminine. So just you'll see it at the end. As we go to the next page, you'll see more clearly. So now for the masculine plural, you're going to put a una at the end, so fa'iluna. And for the plural feminine, you're going to put a at the end, fa'ilat. Okay, here, let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at it all at one shot. Let's take a look. There we go. We have everything written right there for us. Fa'ilun, fa'ilani, fa'iluna. Fa'ilatun, fa'ilatani, fa'ilatani. So you place the ta and you put the alif and the nun after it. Fa'ilatun. Fa'ilatun, fa'ilatani, fa'ilatun. So fa'ilun, one doer. Fa'ilani, two doers. Fa'iluna, a group of doers. Fa'ilatun, one feminine doer. Fa'ilatani, two feminine doers. Fa'ilatun, a group of feminine doers. Okay, so what you have to do is take this chart and learn it by rote, memorize it, and understand it at the same time. Because once you know this, you have now learned how to take. You have now learned how to take every single thulathi, mujarrad word and how to explain or say a doer of that action. Okay? Now there's one more aspect of this that you have to learn. There's one more aspect of this that you have to learn, but we're going to save that for our next video, inshallah ta'ala. We'll stop here and we'll continue with this in our next video, inshallah ta'ala. If you have any questions up until this point, please feel free to either email me or wait until class on Tuesday. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.